Hello and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room podcast. The first one since we've signed Ibrahim Konate. I'm joined by Daz and Richie as always. How are we doing, gents?
Good. It's been a pretty good week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Not for Manchester, but for the rest of the world, it's been pretty good.
Absolutely. And then signing Konate, you couldn't really have wished for too many better weeks than that. It's just a shame that obviously Chelsea were one of the victors, but the lesser of two evils, I suppose.
I don't know, because I proper hate Chelsea, but then I thought it was the third European Cup, and because I didn't remember that Torres won it with Drogba. The end was chocolate when I realised. Then when I realised it was only two, I wasn't that bothered really, because there's still four of us, so I can't see them going four anytime soon.
And plus we're gonna widen that gap next year anyway.
Yeah, Konate helps that. Do you think he's coming in as Virgil's number two, or do you reckon Gomez has still got that number two spot, and we're going to see what we've seen with like Robertson, Fabinho, Ben Davies, etc., where he's going to settle in for about six months or so before we see him?
I think Gomez is still number two for me. Just depends on his fitness, and same with Verge as well. Just as long as they're fully fit, then I think Gomez and Verge are starters, and Konate is kind of like the understudy for Virgil.
I think a lot depends on what sort of Joe Gomez comes back. I think we've discussed on the podcast, it's an injury that could completely derail him, because it's one of those injuries. Is he going to have his pace back? And his pace is so important for us because of the high line, which is one of the reasons why Konate was signed, because he has got pace. I think a lot of it depends on what Joe Gomez returns and how long is he going to remain out for. And let's not forget as well, we obviously have Joel Matip as well in there. So even if it isn't Gomez, then I'd like to think that Konate will have time to settle in. I wouldn't want to see him thrown in straight away. It is a massive change of pace, league-wise. And let's not forget as well that he hasn't had that much game time recently under Leipzig. So that might be important for him to have a really good pre-season and just slowly be embedded into the team, because it worked for Robertson, it worked for Fabinho. So let's hope that a really good Joe Gomez comes back and we don't have to rely on Konate straight away.
I think the exciting thing for me is that everyone who watches German football have said that Konate was the most talented one from Leipzig. I know we were linked with Upamecano, but I wasn't impressed when Leipzig played against us with him. But everyone says he is the stronger one out of the three centre-backs that they do use. It's just his injuries. But when you delve into his injuries, it's not really that bad. It's just a few niggles here and there, isn't it? So I think we'll be fine with him.
He obviously had a very serious injury, didn't he? But he had surgery on it, and it was called sort of like an iopsis release, which relieves the pressure on the hip, which is what I was having a lot of trouble with. And since then, that was 11 months ago. He's had no hip-related injuries since. He had a knock on his ankle that took him out for quite a while as well. But that's part and parcel of being a sports person. You are going to pick up injuries. It's not a recurring injury. The one that it was recurring, he's had surgery on. So, yeah, I think he's a very talented centre-back. And I think that game that Upamecano played for, I think he thought he was playing for Liverpool the amount of times he gave us the ball.
Yeah, I know. But what about...
Don't worry about Ben Davies.
Do you know what, though? I think he actually is going to be decent, because the fact we've kept him in the shadows for 6 months, like what we've done with Fabinho and Robbo and so many others. And then Ben Davies put that Instagram post where he says he'll be back next year. I think we might see him. Maybe not, obviously, I don't think in the Prem, because obviously we need to win every game, but maybe in like the League Cups and that we might see him. And it's depth in it, something we didn't really have. I'd rather have him than Dejan Lovren, to be honest.
Yeah. I also, he did have a couple of injuries. Maybe he was supposed to play a couple of games, but he did have a couple of knocks and injuries as well. That's obviously, reduced that opportunity of game time. But I think James Pearce from The Athletic also said that there are plans that Ben Davies stays. And again, like you said, I'd rather see Ben Davies there at centre-back than Henderson or Fabinho again next season.
Yeah, I think with Liverpool kind of not taking up the option for Kabak, Ben Davies will be staying. But no, I have a mate from Preston as well he's getting pissed off because Ben's not playing. But I'm like Preston North End to Liverpool. It's going to be a while, before Ben gets to go ahead. So I'm like, just chill out. You'll see him eventually.
Yeah, I think we remember we've got the human wall, Nat Phillips as well, who is very deserved of a centre back spot as well. So yeah, there's a lot of competition now. And rewind 6 months ago, there wasn't.
Well, what's your thoughts then on Phillips? Like, do we keep him or do we cash out? Because Konate now, the rumour is Davies is staying, and if Matty stays as well, Phillips is going to be like number 6.
I think he will stay. I think we're going to go into the season over prepared in that department because we don't know how Van Dijk's going to come back. We don't know how Gomez is going to come back. We don't know how Matip's going to come back. We don't know how Konate is going to settle in. So you do sort of still need 5th and 6th choice options really in that department. I mean, all going well. Van Dijk comes back unscathed and it is back to his best, but it'll be hard. But yeah, moving on to quick transfer update. There's a Belgian outlet, Het Nieuwsblad. They're quite reliable, them as well, has been reporting that José Tielemans is high on Liverpool's potential list of Wijnaldum replacements. There's various sources about Salah getting a new contract that sort of broke out today as well. There's not a very reliable one, but Turkish newspaper Fotomaker saying Shaqiri is in talks to join Turkish giants Fenerbahce. And then The Athletic have said several clubs have shown interest in our youth prospect, Taiwo Awoniyi. There's West Brom, Fulham, Stoke have all made inquiries over him. Is there anything there that stick out to you?
Oh, your mind just went for a second. Are we going to chat about like some of the sources, some of the players that are?
Which is there anything that stick out there for you?
Probably the Athletic one, just because they're more reliable than anything. I can't see Awoniyi, even though he's got the work permit now. I just don't see him getting into the Liverpool squad. I just don't. Can I see him again on a rainy night in Stoke? Yes.
Do you not think he'd be a good replacement for Origi though? Because it looks as though Origi will probably depart this summer. Do you not think he'd be a good option to keep him around to replace Origi in terms of depth? Because if we're going to challenge on all fronts, you do need a bigger squad, really, because you'll be playing 60 plus games a season.
Yeah, it just depends, what Klopp's going to do to strengthen that forward line. I mean, is he going to rely on Awoniyi? I just don't know, And then when we do the next part where the sell loan thing, he's one of them on my list to go. So we'll just have to...
It's only there to stick out to you, Richie.
I mean, I was quite happy to hear that the Belgium outlet is actually very reliable because I thought a signing like José Tielemans would be a more than adequate replacement for Gini. He's been fantastic this season. I actually wanted him as well before he moved to Leicester, and I thought that when Leicester bought him, that was a real steal. It was a great signing. So if that one turns out to be true, that José Tielemans is high on Liverpool's list of potential replacements, and that would be something that I think would elevate us. It would improve our squad. He is a player who wouldn't actually need that much transition because he's already playing in the Premier League. He's already playing in quite a similar style, Rodgers and Klopp, So that would certainly be one to explore further, and hopefully, there's some legs in it.
But how much do you think you'd want for him, though? I know they're only in the Europa League next season, but they've got games in Europe. You need a bigger squad. They're going to be. He's their best player, bar maybe Maddison. They're going to be wanting 50, 60 mil for him. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I would say so. And again, they don't need to sell him. He's a new signing there. He's got time on his contract, and time on his contract means bigger bucks. So yeah, you are going to be looking at, a potentially hefty fee, but again, we are in the Champions League and Leicester City aren't. So if Tielemans wants to play in the Champions League, he knows where to look.
You'd assume he would. All the best players want to play in the Champions League, don't they? So,
well, it's good because he's strong on both feet as well. He optimizes the space and possession really well. So he's very much like a Klopp player. But again, money talks. I'm sure if Liverpool kind of get interested in him, his head will turn and he'll be like Champions League. But then Leicester can price us out. There'll be a lot of teams going to want to get him, defo.
Yeah, especially if you think, actually, I know we've been linked to quite a lot of midfielders because of this genie. There's not a lot of, midfielders who you would say, yes, go out and get them at the moment, who would be readily available. I think Tielemans, if he is one of those players, though, at 24 years old as well, he's only going to get better. So whilst it might cost us 50, 60 million, if we've got him for the next 8 years, I think that's a bit of a snip.
He suits FSG's policy as well, don't they? Because they aren't bothered about spending big money. Like we've seen that with Keita and stuff like that, but as long as they're younger, because they always want to see a resale value in the future. Whether they ever get that resale value, or whether if they're world class, like the likes of your Salahs and Van Dijks, and if they're going to stay with us for the rest of their careers, you're going to have that success with them, which is then generating profit. So he suits the FSG model for me. I'd love to see him because he's already. You could buy him and stick him in your squad because he's already got Premier League experience, where other people were linked with, like Rodrigo de Paul and Florian Neuhaus. They haven't played in the Prem, so they need to adapt to that league when they come over, which is hard.
Yeah, and he's got a bang on him, and we don't really tend to score that many goals from midfield, especially last season. So for him, if he's going to add goals in our midfield, even if it's 5, 6, 7, that's still more than Gini. That's still more than Henderson, Thiago, Fabinho, Ox, Keita. Probably all put together, in fact, from last season. So it's extra goals from there as well. And he's an engine. I think he is very much a like-for-like Genie replacement in terms of he recycles play. He can play defensively. He can, get up and down the pitch really well. Plus, he has the factor of, being able to score in an FA Cup final from 30-odd yards.
Well, we've got to start really fighting on all fronts. I'm getting a bit tired of just the Prem and the Champions League. I want the FA Cup. I just do. I've always loved the FA Cup, but we just have never really, I think since Klopp's come in, taken it seriously. And League Cup is just, League Cup. So we need a bigger squad, and we can't rely on, Henderson. He's getting older. He's getting more injuries. As we've seen with Fabinho when he's been out, and that's why we're going to miss a player like Genie, because he missed 11 games. That's it in 4 years. That's nuts, because most players probably out at least 20 to 30 games in 4 years easily. So all these people are banging on, I'll see you later, Genie. We're going to miss him.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And we said last week, didn't we? The best sort of availability. The best sort of ability is availability, and his longest time out was 16 days, which is nuts. So yeah, we are going to miss him. I hope he doesn't do too well at Barcelona.
I think he will. I think they'll win the league next year. Him feeding Messi and Aguero is.
And Depay, if the rumours are true as well, which is slightly annoying because as much as I would have liked Depay at Liverpool, I think he's a very good player. I don't think really it was ever going to happen after what the Lyon president said about him this week, saying that he was a selfish player. He wanted the team built around him. And we know Jurgen Klopp doesn't work like that. So he will be phenomenal, though, at Barcelona as well.
Be interested to see him go in with that attitude, though, won't it? Because that's Messi's team.
Yep.
To see if Messi likes him. it should be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Matty picks the team, doesn't he?
And
Picks
does the team
everything,
talks. Yeah, does the team talks. But fair enough, fair play to him. On to our next section then. What we're going to do, because it looks like there's going to be more outgoings this summer than probably incomings for Liverpool, mainly because, we have got a lot of players who are nearing the end of their contract. It doesn't look like they're going to be renewed. We are going to play keep, sell or loan. And we have a list of 10 players. All of these player values are from transfermarket.com. So we're not just making it up. We are going off valuations that have been set. And essentially, it's just keep, sell, or loan. At the end of this section, we will then say who we are going to buy with raising the funds. So what are we going to buy? Who are we going to buy? What are we looking for with the players that we sell, potentially, loan out, or keep? So our first on the list is goalkeeper Loris Karius. His contract expires next season, so something has to give. He's worth around, £5 million, I think, is transfer market valuation. Again, it's fairly low because he's only got a year left on his contract. Matty, Loris Karius.
I never want to see the Lava Bird near him again, so definitely sell. Although he had concussion, I think he should have came off. Selfish, in my opinion. If the minute he threw the ball to Benzema, I just wanted the world to swallow me up. So I'm made up that we end up getting Alisson. 100% sell him. I think Kropp realised how terrible he is. He's dead snotty as well. When I used to work in Correse, I served him and he's dead snotty, where Genie was sound. So yeah, for me, definitely sell him, 100%. Even though it's only 5 million, it's 5 million better than keeping him.
I agree with you. I think he should just stick to modelling. Not with his hands either. Yeah, I'd get rid. He's, obviously that final did something to his head. Whether physically or mentally, he's just not there. I mean, when a team like Besiktas doesn't really want you, and Union Berlin, right?
Yeah, they didn't get any games there, really.
They don't want him. I mean, yeah, Liverpool, I'm the same. But if we can get 5 mil for him, I'd be laughing.
I did feel sorry for him, and I can't help but feel sorry for him. He never meant it to go that way, and it's just, I don't think there's a comeback from that, if I'm honest. So yeah, I'm going to sell him, especially when we've got Kievan Kelleher coming through as well. And every time I've seen him, I've just been more and more impressed with him. So I don't see a need to keep Karius, even if it's for third choice. I think Adrian was talking about extending his contract as well.
We've got Peter Luger coming through as well.
Yeah, and exactly. So yeah, Karius for me. So we're all 5 million up.
Yeah. Minamino, I like him, to be honest, but what do you think? The transfer market value him at 10 million. His contract expires in 2024. I think we can probably get a bit more than 10 million for him with Mickey Edwards' work as magic. I reckon you can probably get about 15 million for him. He's still very young and exciting, and obviously he comes with the Japanese market. But just go with you, Richie, first. What do you think?
It's a strange one, really, because we were waiting for a long time for him to play, and then he played and he did okay, and then he scored a goal, and we were all happy that he scored his first goal, and then he went, and then he had a purple patch at Southampton right at the start, and then it sort of dithered out that loan spell. So I think I'm not going to sell him, but I'm not going to keep him. I think another loan would probably be good, so we can actually assess, is he ready for the Premiership? Is he ready to actually hold down a place in that front four? His contract doesn't expire until 2024. So, another season perhaps out on loan for him to adjust to the English, culture and the Premier League. I think a loan would probably be best. I don't want to throw him out the door straight away. So, I'm going to say loan him, and hopefully to a Premier League team. Hopefully, I would even loan him back to Southampton. Hasenhüttl plays quite a similar game as Klopp does. There'd be no point in loaning him out, to someone who just defends all the time. So there's no point in him going to an Arsenal or a team like that. So yeah, I'm a loner.
Yeah, I think I'm a loner as well. I don't want to sell him because I do think he's a good little player. But with the rise of Elliott, I think Elliott will be in the squad next season, and Minamino's chances would be, a couple of games, I think. So I wouldn't want to get rid of him. Just loan him out, and if that loan doesn't work out, then bin him next season. But for now, yeah, I'm doing loan.
I'm going to keep him. I think we're going to need him next season. If we want to attack on all fronts, I think he's a good option. He's a good option off the bench as well. So I'm going to say keep him. If it doesn't work out, maybe in January you could sell him or loan him out then. Maybe give him another 6 months and a proper pre-season. I think that's the aim. I've seen a few reports that way Klopp wants to give him a proper Klopp pre-season, because we all know his pre-seasons are intense and it sets them up for the season. And I do think that's partly to blame for why we've been poor this year, because Klopp didn't have his pre-season with the squad. So I think keep him, give him a Klopp pre-season, which he's never had, and see where we go from there with him.
What do you think, lads, that really happened to him after? Because it was the Palace game, wasn't it, where he scored, and then you never heard from him again.
I think the games were just too important. We had to win every game, so I think they were just too important to be chance and rotating, because we were so weak at the back and we've had to make so many changes at the back. That's affecting the team. So you're not going to make. I think that's detrimental, because you're not going to make as many changes going forward, or you're not going to. Even like Robbo, I think Tsimikas didn't get a chance because we were so weak at centre back. He had to play, so I do think that with a fully fit squad, you'd get more time and more chances.
I'm surprised you didn't ask him to play centre back.
Absolutely. On to our cult hero, and we mentioned him earlier, the Belgian striker Divock Origi, valued at 14 million. Again, Michael Edwards might be able to squeeze a little bit more out of that, but his contract again doesn't run out until 2024, so he does have time on his contract. For me, as much as I love him, he's not, he's not up to the standard of, being in that front four equation, so I know that's not his role. He's supposed to come on as an impact sub. Last season wasn't his finest season. I think he would leave Liverpool as a cult hero, and I think it probably now is time for him to leave. So I'm going to cash in on Divock Origi, but I would wish him all the best in the world. And, his contribution, in our Champions League winning season will never, ever be forgotten.
That Everton goal, that'll be
absolutely.
That's why he needs a statue.
Which one, to be fair, because he scored obviously the one that came off the bar the season where we played them afterwards, and he scored that beautiful lob over was it Pickford in goal that day?
Yeah.
Again, destroying Jordan Pickford. That goal was class as well. So yeah, he does love a goal against the Ev.
Yeah, I'm sell as well. His time has come and gone for Liverpool. He'll always be remembered, but we need somebody a bit better. But the problem again, though, Klopp was always playing him on the wing in Mane's position, and he's just not fast enough. It's not his fault, but yeah, his time has come and gone as well. But if we can get. I actually think we can get more than 14 mil for him.
I reckon we go about 20. Completely agree. I reckon we'll sell him. I think we need to raise funds to strengthen elsewhere, and I think this is going to be where we do make our funds getting rid of Deadwood like this. And Origi for me, 100% sell, 100% cult hero. Legend, I'd say as well. I think everyone who won the Premier League and the Champions League with us is legends for me. They've done what no other player's been able to do in 30 years, so definitely are legends for me. So he leaves as a legend. Best of luck to him, but he's just not good enough to play for Liverpool football anymore. What about Shaq then? For me, I'm selling Shaq. He's decent, but he's not consistent, and I like consistency. 10 million for him. I do think, again, you probably get a little bit more for him. Whether he goes to a team in Turkey or wherever, he seems to be linked out here, there and everywhere. I could see him even maybe going to a team like Brentford or something. I mean, he went to Stoke, so it wouldn't surprise me. So what do you think?
Sell him, yeah. And he's injury prone as well. Also don't like what he's done with his hair. So
he's not injury prone. He's just went and got an hair transplant.
It's done something to him then. No, I'd sell him. Again, legend for being in the Liverpool squad that won the Premier League, and he was a big part of the win against Barca as well.
Yeah.
In the Champions League. But for me, just like Origi, the exit door.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. Xherdan Shaqiri, by the way, his honours list is phenomenal. He's a four-time. Actually, sorry, he's not a four-time. He's a 7-time league winner. He's won it 3 times with Basel, 3 times with Bayern, and obviously once with Liverpool. He's a 2-time Champions League winner, 2-time Super Cup winner, 2-time FIFA World Club Cup winner, and that's not counting his domestic cups as well. So, what an unbelievable career he's had. To be fair, and again, he would if he went this summer, and again his contract does come up in 2023. If he goes this summer, I think he'll leave with his head held high, and I don't see why he wouldn't sign for another Premier League team, if I'm honest. I think he could mainly take his pick, I think, out of about 16 clubs. So yeah, good luck to him. But again, I would sell him. I know that transfer market value him at 10 million. Again, I think that you can get more for him than that.
Definitely.
Harry Wilson, then, he's a bit of an enigma. He's always been a player who excited me. Mainly because the pre-season games, he just looks fearless. And then I've seen him a couple of times for Cardiff this season as well. I do like watching Championship football, so I've seen him a few times for Cardiff. And it's just he's not really had a chance at Liverpool, I don't think. But then there must be a reason for that. There's no way that Klopp's going to get rid of players if he thinks that they can do a job. His contract does come up in 2023, so he's got 2 years. There's no way he's going to sign a new contract if he's not guaranteed first-team football. I personally would like to see him give it a go, especially if Shaqiri, etc., Origi's going to leave. There is some space out on the flanks, but that value will diminish after this year. That 15 million is purely because of the length of his contract. So that will probably be half this time next year. So if Klopp doesn't believe in him, and I think he doesn't, otherwise he would have played him by now, I think we're going to have to sell him. And for that, there's no point in him going out on another loan at all. So for that reason, if Klopp doesn't believe in him, then we're going to sell him. And I think I would stick to sell.
Yeah, he's a great dead ball specialist. But again, at 24 years old, he's been loaned out a bunch of times. And like you say, Richie, he always seems to have a good pre-season. But then when, the proper season starts, you just never see him. So that tells me something. He's either not ready or he's just not good enough, So yeah, I'd sell him. And I think you can get more than 15 mil for him because he's 24. He's got his whole playing career still ahead. So I can see him going to another Premier side. But again, I've read stuff about him as well, and he seems like a good lad. And I think he just wants Klopp to say yes or no. You can't keep him hanging on. You just got to, cut the cord on him and say, good luck, appreciate it. Let's try and get 17, 18 mil for him.
Yeah, he's had good loan spells at Hull, Derby, Bournemouth, and Cardiff. A couple of weeks ago, he scored a great hat trick for Cardiff as well in a 4-0 win against Birmingham. So he has been at good clubs. So hopefully those clubs might be interested in him and might stump up the money.
I think I'd sell him as well. I was dead excited with him coming through the Championship, coming through the Youth Academy, and seeing him in the Derby team. He excites me there. Free kick against United. I just don't think he's good enough for Liverpool. He's just one of them kids in the academy who just doesn't make it at us, but you make a profit on him. And even if you get 15 mil for him, for someone who's never played really in our first team, I think that's a good bit of business, to be honest with you. But I do think we would have got more money last year because he had a good season with Bournemouth in the Prem. I think it's a bit of a step back. For me, the minute he got loaned to Cardiff, it's a step back. So I don't think he was staying. Going them back to the Championship, you're just thinking, yeah, the fact no Premier League team came in for him makes me question it as well. Obviously, I don't think he'll stay at Liverpool at all. What about the Ox? The Ox is valued at 18 million. For me, I'm 100% keep. I like the Ox. I think he's still got more to add to the team. He's had 2-3 bad injuries. He's still probably overcoming them. Found it hard to break into the team, but I do think with the likes of Shaqiri, Origi and stuff apart, and he'll probably have more time to break into the team. But that's why I'm 100% keep him. And I don't think it's fair to make him up sticks and move when he's about to become a dad. So let's keep him in the fill.
I'd keep as well. There's just something about Ox I really like. Plus, he gives us a different option in the forward as well. He likes to run it, at the defenders. But I mean, we saw in the last game of the season, great goal, absolutely smashing goal. But I'd keep him. If he can stay fit, then we've got like a top player. It's the injuries he's had. That one against City just made me like, because he was having a fantastic season, and then you knew he'd be out for a while. So no, I'd definitely keep him and start off West Ham.
Yeah, I agree. There's no point in loaning him out. What's been interesting in the past few weeks is he's actually come on for Firmino, and he's taken up that false 9 role. And actually, I could see him playing that role. Yeah. I generally could. We know that he can bang. We know that he's got pace, even through some hellacious injuries. But so yeah, I think someone needs to come off the bench and create an impact. He did that against Burnley, and I think he can do it if he stays fit. That's the only big question mark for me with Ox. Can he stay fit? Because that is 18 to 20 million pounds sitting on the bench or the physio table if he can't stay fit. That's the biggest question mark. But again, we're not, we can't tell the future. So for me, someone's got to come off the bench and make an impact. Ox is that player at the moment, and hopefully he can find that purple patch he had, just before he got injured in the Champions League against Roma.
Yeah, he needs a good pre-season.
Yeah. What about Reese Williams? I think I'd keep him, mate. I think he'll go into the under 23s, do a few more seasons there. I do think there is potential with Reese Williams. He's valued at 4.5 million. And I do think maybe another year or two in the under 23s, then maybe a few minutes in like FA Cups and that in a few seasons, you could maybe get 10, 12 million for him. He's still very young. It seems stupid to cash in on him now when you can put him in the under 23s, and you can maybe even get like a youth cup or something. They come close this season, they'll probably go close again next season with some additions that we've got in terms of academy kids coming up and stuff. So for me, I'd keep him, but what you reckon?
Loan for me to a Championship team, just to get him, a bit more bulked up and a bit more physical. I wouldn't get rid of him. There's something there, obviously, but I think he needs a bit of roughing up. Under 23s is good, but Championship is a lot tougher, and I'd like to see how he does there. But no, I wouldn't sell him.
No, there's not a lot of point in selling him. I think there's a player there. We know that the biggest thing that he comes under criticism for is for his spatial awareness. Spatial awareness comes with experience. He doesn't know at the moment what Premier League strikers, what their runs are going to do, whether they're coming in behind, whether they're going to the left or the right of him when he's watching the ball. Experience brings you that, and I was really gutted for him that he didn't score, with a header. It was straight on his head, and I thought it's going to be Phillips all over again, and it glazed over the bar. So no, for me, I think either option is viable, to be fair. I think what both of you have said is I wouldn't argue with him going back to the 23s and getting a few minutes in the FA Cup or League Cup. I also wouldn't argue with him going out first team experience on loan. So yeah, absolutely keep him, and either option for me is viable. So yeah, he is certainly one to watch out for, as is our next player. Used to be a player one to watch out for in Ben Woodburn. Ben Woodburn, his contract runs out next summer, and he's valued at 2.7 million. There's no point in sending him out on loan for me because his contract will expire next year anyway. For me, it seems that the loan spells haven't worked, and that's a big issue. If loan spells at Oxford United aren't working, and he's not getting in the team, he's surely not good enough to play for Liverpool, which is a shame because he's our youngest goal scorer, beat Michael Owen's record, but it just looks like his time's up. And wherever he goes, wish him the best of luck. He'll always be in the folklore of Liverpool Football Club. 2.7 million is not a lot, but at the end of the day, it's better than nothing because it looks like he will probably be leaving on a free next summer.
Yeah, sell. Easy, just sell. Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for him. Well, I mean, I think he was hyped up too much in the beginning. Everybody was kind of saying he's going to be like the next Michael Owen, and it just didn't happen. But yeah, like you say, Richie, if you can't even get in the team at Oxford, you're not going to get in the team at Liverpool. No chance, not even on the bench. So. Yeah, it's just kind of the same with like Harry Wilson. It's time for them just to move on and be able to go somewhere where they can play football. Because they're not going to get it at Liverpool. So 2.7 would be a steal.
I'd 100% agree with you, I'd sell him. The fact he was still on the bench for Liverpool Football Club at the end of this season is mad. Oxford sent him back. It says it all. I think I'd agree with what Dad said. He was just overhyped too soon, and we've been victim of that with a few youngsters. Liverpool, we've overhyped him. We overhyped John Flanagan, I think, and we overhyped Conor Cody as well. Jordan Ibe, we were saying he was the next big thing. So Liverpool do overhype youngsters. Because they look good in the youth leagues, where Ben Woodburn, he's not good enough for Liverpool. I don't even think he's good enough for the Championship because it hasn't worked, and like you said, in any loan. So for me, if we can get 2.7 million for him, it's a no-brainer. And if he goes back out on loan, it's just stupid because I think he's probably on decent wages because we're a Premier League club, and if he was to go to League One, we'd have to probably split the wages somehow. And so you're still paying towards him, which is just ridiculous. Just sell him, get rid of him, get him off the wages. And even if you bring in another youth prospect in that position and pay him them wages, it's someone who's younger and maybe got more potential than someone who's never going to make it at this football club.
It's a bit weird that both him and Wilson do really well for Wales.
It's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative.
Joe Allen does well for Wales.
Yeah.
Moving on to the last one then, Naby Keita. 34.2 million is valued. That contract expires in 2023. Going to be a bit controversial and say I'll sell him. You get 34.2 million for Naby Keita. He has made the biscuits. I don't see the point in keeping a player, paying him. He's probably on 70, 80 grand a week. He come in for a £50 million move. He's not going to be on small money. He's never fit. I'd rather sell him and bring someone in that position who is fit. Whether that means we're going to have to bring in two midfielders this summer, because obviously we're replacing Genie as well. I don't care. I'd rather have someone who's more available and more fit. And if we can get 34.2 million for him when we bought him for 50, that's what, £16 million loss. But he hasn't really done much. I mean, when he comes on, he's decent, but he's so inconsistent. And for me, I'd rather have someone who can be fit 38 games a season than someone who can be fit 15. I don't know about you. I've usually probably say keep, but for me, I just don't like his availability.
Well, we had this conversation, I think, last week or the week before, didn't we? And yeah, I'm a keeper. I think I said last time, give him another season. And if it doesn't work out, then, off you go. But I am a little bit in between though now, because I forgot that African Cup of Nations is coming up as well. So he'd be gone, a month for that. Well, that's if he stays fit. Yeah, I would keep him. Yeah, I'm a bit on the fence because of that African Cup of Nations, but I would keep him.
I am also keeping him, yeah. And you're absolutely right, because the Guinean manager just runs him into the ground whether he's fit or not. So it's irrelevant because you know that he's going to play him anyway, judging on past experiences. But no, I'm keeping him purely on the basis of there is a player in there. I would hope that, a pre-season, I know we say it quite a lot, but a pre-season, full pre-season, not on the, injury list or, the physio's bench, I would keep him. I think there's a player in there. He does something that not many Liverpool players do. He can keep hold of the ball, but also go past people. When he got hooked on the Madrid game, I actually thought that was quite, I thought it was quite a poor decision, because there was a moment in the game, he just went past 3 Madrid players in midfield like they wasn't there. So there is a player in there, and his contract doesn't run out for another 2 years. So I think he give him one more season. I get a lot of stick for sticking up for Keita, which probably rightly so, because he's not. I hyped him up massively, but yeah, I'm going to keep him, and I'm going to stay true to him purely on the fact that I got him on my shirt. I can't not. Got Keita 8 on the back of my shirt, so I've got to say keep him for that alone. So there we go. There is actually one other player who we are going to discuss as well, and that's Marko Grujić. And he wasn't on the original list, but Marko Grujić, 25 years old. He's obviously been on loan at Porto this season. His contract expires in 2023. And Transfer Market value him at 13.5 million. So for me, again, no point in him going out on loan. He's been out on loan quite a lot now. And as interesting as he is, because every time I've actually seen him for Liverpool, I have been impressed with him. He's extremely tall. He's extremely combative. But we haven't needed him for 2 years. So for 13.5 million, I'm sure we could get more than that again. But for 13.5 million, we've not needed him for 2 years. I don't think he's the Genie replacement. So for me, I'm going to cash in and I'm going to sell him. How about you guys?
I agree. I'd sell him. I've been massively impressed with him, to be honest with you. Even games I've seen when I've just been bored in the Porto game and I've been on telly and stuck it on. He's impressed me. But I think with Grujić, he would want to play, and he's never ever going to get in that position. Fabinho's the best central defensive midfielder in world football, and probably will be for the next 5 or 6 years. We've seen Fernandinho playing that role at 34, 35. There's no reason why Fabinho wouldn't either. So I do think for that reason, Grujić should probably go. And if we can get that much money for him, I reckon we could probably get about 15, 20 for him, to be honest with you. He's not had bad loan spells wherever he's gone. And there's rumours that Hertha want to bring him back because he really, really impressed there. So it'll be interesting, but I do think that we'll sell him. That he is a good player. I do think we should probably include a buyback clause, because if he does hit it off, we can bring him back relatively cheap then. But I do see him departing. Yeah.
Yes, sell, and if we could sell to Leicester, then part of the deal to get Tielemans, it'd be all right, wouldn't it? I'm actually adding me money up now, me maths.
I've done that myself.
I've just done that too, yeah.
I've got 53 mil, so I wouldn't mind Grujić.
I'm on 94.4, mate.
I'm in the middle then, because I'm on 84.
You're buying Sancho then, Matty?
I think we'll probably buy a big name anyway. Fabrizio Romano said we're bringing a few more in. I think Nike might help us out with a big name, but I think it'd be more Sancho than Mbappe. With that 94.4 mil, that could go towards it, definitely. They only want 70, 80 odd mil for him, so that could pay for him. But I do think we'll bring a midfielder in as well. We'll bring good Neuhaus, and if we can get Tielemans, perfect window for me then. Tielemans, Neuhaus, Sancho. He's going to win it all.
Rich, what about you? Who are you getting?
So, I mean, I know that I say it. I still can't see a Sancho deal being done. I don't know why. I just can't see it. I really can't. And as much as it pains me to say, because I think he's absolutely brilliant, I just can't see it being done. I just think a Patson Daka or Rafinha or a Jonathan David, I just think they're more FSG signings. I would love Sancho. If you're going to ask anyone, who would I sign realistically, I think Sancho would be the one because he is realistic in a mold of a player. I don't think Mbappe is realistic. So I would go Sancho, but I don't think it would happen. So I'm going to pick one of those three. I mean, ideally Patson Daka because he can play through the middle a lot more comfortably than the other two who are mentioned. I also do think we do need a midfield option, and it's interesting what we're going to do because there are talks again about whether we are going to play a two-man midfield next season. And if that's the case, then we might not need a Wijnaldum replacement. Instead, we might need another striker or a number 10. If Firmino is going to drop into that 10 role, we'll obviously need someone to lead the line. So it depends really what system we're going to go. For me, Tielemans all day. But, there's a lot of cut price players in France. We've mentioned José Mayor. I think he would do an all right job. And he's more likely 30 million. I think FSG are more likely to spend that amount rather than, for me, a player I'd love to see at Liverpool is Jack Grealish. Massively unrealistic because I can't see us doing that. But I think it's more likely to be someone like José Mayor or someone like Patson Daka, Jonathan David, those sort of the players of that ilk who are young and have potential rather than players who are signed, sealed, delivered, ready to go. Especially because if we're going to keep Mane, Salah, Firmino, Jota, if we bring in Sancho, one of those players surely has to go, or one of those players are going to have to be getting used to being on the bench.
Yeah,
that's most likely Mane.
Well, would you sell anyone else? We looked on those 10 players. Would you sell anyone else from that team? The two that always come up is Bobby and Mane.
No. City's bench for that final yesterday was scary, and Liverpool haven't got that. I think selling the deadwood to raise some funds, but Liverpool are in a glorious position. Seeing Mo Salah sign a contract, it's the first time in a long time that Liverpool have been able to keep hold of the best players. Not so long ago, we had to sell our best players when you think of Coutinho and stuff. So I wouldn't sell any of the others. I think even if they are on the bench and they work as a squad, they're all going to get minutes. It's a big season, especially with the World Cup thrown right in the middle of it as well. And that's in December, isn't it, in Qatar, of this season. So I'd keep all of them, every single one of them, and just add strength. It's better having strength and depth than selling them all to maybe buy one player. I'd rather get a few cheaper options, like Richie said, and keep them as strength and depth, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell any of those. Exactly the same. We need a stronger bench because it is. Even Chelsea's bench is better than ours. I wouldn't say United's is. Chelsea's defo is, and I think we really did miss the boat at the beginning of this season. We should have spent and brought in, even though it's a pandemic, we should have brought in at least 2-3 players. I think we really did miss the boat. And that wasn't even for centre-back, because no way you knew we were going to lose 3 senior centre-backs. But yeah, keep them. For my 53 mil, which is not much in this days of football, if we could get Tielemans for 53, which no chance, but I'd go for him. And if not, Basuma, because you could get 35 mil probably for Basuma, and then you have a lot of cash left over for a haircut.
I do really like Yves Bissouma, and I see him being linked to Arsenal. And no offense, Arsenal, but I'm like, he surely can do better than that.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're mid-table side. Them now they've got a big rebuild option. I seen that they were going to get rid of Leno and stuff like that. And William wants to go back to Chelsea. I think Arsenal will come back, but I feel like Arsenal are in the position Liverpool are in at the minute, where we had like Roy Hodgson, like the banter era at the club. I think they're under that at the minute, but they're a massive club, so they will come back. But I just think at the minute they've got a massive rebuild ahead of them before they're anywhere near the top four. So I think Bissouma would be mad. So I think that's probably a step sideways from Brighton. Arsenal aren't much better than Brighton, really.
No, I know it would just be too fast. Like Bissouma will have bids coming in for him. I just think if he jumps, you know, at the first opportunity, I think he'll live to regret it. If I'm honest, I personally would snap up Yves Bissouma tomorrow. If I'm honest, so yeah, it's a really good shout. Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much, lads. And yeah, we've raised Liverpool Football Club a fair few pounds this evening, and we've probably spent more than what we've actually saved them anyway. So FSG will be happy. But yeah, everyone else listening, thank you obviously to listening, and obviously let us know, you know, what players would you sell, what players would you keep and loan, and who would you bring in.
Perfect. And don't forget to subscribe as well.